empowerment, ministry, and a heart for people. We are the Women of Excellence and Empowerment International. The heart of who we are is seen by the fruit of our labor. The Fiesta, King's Daughters program, empowering our educators, and more.
You've asked for it, and Women of Excellence and Empowerment Ministries is delighted to present part 2 of When on Pause is More Than Pandemic Pause on Monday the 20th of September at 8 p.m. You won't want to miss another eye-opening and exciting session with Mrs. Jennifer Babb, registered nurse and specialized menopause trainer. Bring a friend. Join us again on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Like and share our pages, and see you there. Wonderful, 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 warm good evening to all of you joining us on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Those that are joining us right here home in Barbados, across the Caribbean, United States, UK, wherever you are joining us, and even those that probably would go on later and view this page and this session, we welcome you this evening, and we are so excited that you are with us. One of the things we want you to do, we want to encourage you to like and share our page so other men and women will be empowered this evening. And this evening, part 2, When on Pause is More Than Pandemic Pause. You've asked for it, and we, the Women of Excellence and Empowerment Ministries, is so delighted to present it to you this evening. We know that you will have your questions and your queries and even your comments. We want you to feel free to place those in the chat of the YouTube channel and our Facebook page, because we want to be there to answer those questions for you and those queries. Our first session last month, believe you me, it was last month. It was an eye-opening session. It was a myth debunking, eradicating session. It was revelatory. It was on point. Many of us came into this session, last month's session, with so many fears and scary moments. But the time we left with those fears released, and we left empowered, and we were made the wiser. Always remember, ladies and gentlemen, our response is critical. That is why we armed ourselves with knowledge. And there's a quote that I want to share with you. It says, listen carefully, menopause is thicker than water. It says that menopause is thicker than water. It says, when you laugh and talk about it, we learn and relax. It's a life transition and not a disease. Can I repeat that? When we laugh and talk about it, we learn and relax. It's a life transition and not a disease. Normally, when we transition, we have to make so many decisions, and that is why we armed ourselves with knowledge so we respond in wisdom. We want to welcome all of you. We want to welcome especially the men who will be joining us and are here with us tonight. We are so delighted that the men are here, because men themselves needs to be armed and be empowered, knowing how to respond to their wives, their significant others, their family members, so they will respond with wisdom and lots of love and understanding as women pause in this season. We welcome all of you men and those that are coming in. We want to welcome our President, Minister Andrea Harris. We want to welcome you and the technical support that is with us. Again, we want to say to you, share our page, like and share our page, so that others will be empowered and lives will be transformed. Tonight, again, our moderator is none other than Minister Mary Thompson. She is a well-known registered nurse. Yes, she is a registered nurse. And not only that, but I found out something so special about Mary. Mary is so passionate about the health and the well being of family, not only women, but the entire household. Mary, we welcome you this evening. You did a fantastic job last month, and we are excited about this evening. And let us go over and we're gonna welcome our presenter, Mrs. Jennifer Babb. She too is a registered nurse for decades. She's trained in the area of menopause. Mary's traveled globally for years educating on this subject. And I know Mary is extremely passionate about this because she even shares her personal experiences to further educate us and empower us. She spent 15 years in the local medical clinics in the QEH. She loves the Lord dearly. She is a mother, and I know she is a proud grandma. Yes, we welcome you, Jennifer Babb, our presenter tonight. And at this time, ladies and gentlemen, all of you that are joining us, I turn our session into the hands of our moderator, Minister Mary Thompson. May you be blessed and enlightened as we understand this journey when on pause is more than pandemic pause. Mary Thompson.
Thank you, Minister Michelle, and good evening to our
Good
viewing
evening.
audience, to our global friends, because persons from across the globe are tuned in with us tonight, and we thank you for joining us. Jennifer, we are at it again, discussing this issue that is so relevant, so pertinent to us. And when we did the first session, there were lots of queries and concerns. And for the benefit of those who were not here or who missed the opening segment and so on, I'm going to ask you, Jennifer, to please give us a synopsis of what you shared with us at our last occasion. What is menopause? And all the little tidbits of information that will more or less pull together what we shared, and then we will go into our question and answer session. Jennifer.
Well, thank you so much. I'd first like to say good night to our audience and good night to you, the special ladies who have organized this. And I feel really honored to be able to impart this information to the listeners over. You are going to feel a lot better about yourselves. Do not think that every symptom that you have heard as a woman you're going to have, but there are some that are likely to affect you. And I trust that if you have a partner, you can have that partner close by, because it's critical that men who are involved with ladies, and even if you're not involved, you should get to know this subject. It's an exciting time for a woman, even though it has its challenges. And I'll tell you what makes it exciting at the end of the day, because people tend to put menopause as, oh Lord, it's the end of the world. She's going to soon die. That's it. No, 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 no. Our life begins after menopause. And I say that because God's willing, I'll be 67 in another 2 months. And I feel as though, you know what? I still feel like 18. Not much has changed. And I want to live. I want to enjoy the time that God has given me here. And so I am trusting that you will take this information, you will absorb it, and you will send your questions in, because we will attempt to answer all the questions you asked tonight. Now, let me first start by saying the big question always is, what is menopause? What really is this thing? And for many men, they don't really understand. I know that a lot of men, they don't even empathize at times with us. And so that's why it is important that men listen tonight. The synopsis says menopause is a time in a woman's life when she hasn't had a period for 12 straight months. That's it. After 12 months, and she hasn't had a bleed, she is definitely menopausal. Now, there's a period before menopause called perimenopause, which is the phase just before she gets there. Then the period stops altogether. And I took you back to when she was a baby, when she was born. She has her ovaries in place, and the important role that estrogen and progesterone plays in a woman's life. But in particular, estrogen is the key hormone in our bodies that helps us to function and behave as we do as females. And as I said in that last episode, you have a period in those periods that prepares it for impregnation. And at the end of 28 days, the progesterone that starts at day 15 stops suddenly, and you get abrupt end of that estrogen level buildup of the womb. The egg ruptures and the lining will leave, and she has what's called a period. Well, as she reaches close to menopause, she may find that those period days are shortened. Instead of 7 days, she may start having five. Then she may have to have four the next year. And this could start for some women as early in their late 30s. However, it is documented that scientifically she really should not be starting her natural menopause until she's about 40, 45. But we do have what is surgically induced menopause, which is
Mhm.
not natural. That happens if the woman has to go to have surgery and she has to have a total abdominal hysterectomy. That is when the womb, the uterus, and the ovaries, everything is removed. Then what happens is she goes right into menopause. But I'll tell you what menopause really means. What's the significance of this word as I go along. Now, the abrupt removal of the ovaries causes her to start to have the symptoms immediately. Sometimes she comes out of the operating theater tonight, and by tomorrow morning she starts to get one of the first symptoms that many get, which women get, which is hot flushes, and then she may start to get the night sweats. But all of this has to do with the fact that the estrogen that is used to being supplied to her body by her ovaries is no longer supplying what we call the estrogen receptor sites in the woman's body. So every woman's body has what we call estrogen receptor sites. They are in the brain, the breast, the heart, the bladder, the skin. They are everywhere, everywhere. Those estrogen receptor sites feed off of the estrogen that your body has been releasing via the ovaries for the past 45 up to 50 years. Then most women will find that the period stops altogether. But they have a function. Estrogen has a function. And it's when that estrogen is no longer there that the function is impaired. And what and how and what am I talking about? Estrogen receptor sites control much of how our bodies behave. So when we talk about it impairs the function of the body, it starts from the head, the crown of the head, until the soles of the feet. So that means we're talking about the brain. The brain is affected. The hair follicles no longer able to have the blood supply that they do normally. So many women find that their hair starts to fall out. Some women find around that time that they start to become forgetful. Some women become depressed. They become anxious. They start to cry for no reason. Nobody has troubled them. Nobody's hit them. And all of a sudden, a woman still feels tearful. She also finds that her skin changes and she has drier skin. She will find that she has to go to the bathroom with urgency as she gets older. She finds that her bladder is not holding the urine like it used to because the bladder also is impaired. You find that it's weakening of the muscles of the bladder, weakening of the entire body is affected at that time. The vagina, as a matter of fact, that is one of the areas that we'll expand on a little more because the vagina, the uterus, the ovaries, those female reproductive organs, they actually atrophy or they shrink as we get into menopause. So if the uterus, the vagina, and as long as those organs are still in place, and they start to shrink, then what is the result of that? It is the result the uterus becomes smaller, the vagina itself starts to get smaller. And so the tissue also that supplies all of the secretions within the moisture within the vaginal walls, that too starts to go. And so many women will find that there's drying in the vaginal walls and they get what is called atrophic vaginitis. It's not a vaginitis that is brought on by infection, but it's brought on as a result of the dryness within the walls of the vagina. Now, I don't know a woman who can tell me that she hasn't had that experience once she reaches menopause. Now, many women find, as I said, that as they get older, bladder, the bladder, and they get late 70s and they want to pass water, they had better get to the bathroom real fast. Because if they don't, they might even wet themselves a little before they get there. Now, some women get sleeplessness, can't sleep a whole night like they used to. They become a little irritable. They have mood swings. They have the night sweats, and the night sweats can be pretty annoying, especially in the early phases of menopause. They go to bed and find that they all of a sudden they're drenched in perspiration, and they have the fans on, and they're hot, and they have to take the sheets off, and they cool down, and then they get too cold, and then they have to go back to, oh, it's not a very good time for many women. Um, and the heart, some women get heart palpitations at that time because even the heart is affected for women at that time. So all in all, I am just letting you know that those are some of the things, some of the areas of the woman's body that becomes affected at that time. Now, there's also another area that I did mention, and that is bone loss. She loses 20% of what is expected of a lifetime of bone loss at that time at menopause. So that's a lot of calcium that she's losing. That's why we have to be so careful as we age and not fall and break our hip and spine, because hip, spine, and waist, those are the areas that are susceptible to breaking when we fall at that time. And those falls can be debilitating. In other words, they can actually cause you to maybe end up in a wheelchair. And some people actually never recover because they start to get thrombosis, like clots in the bloodstream, as a result of those kind of fractures, and they end up, as a matter of fact, losing their life if they're not careful. So it is important that we pay attention to all of the things that I have mentioned, because as we age, it is time that we start to take care of our bodies. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to start eating better. We need to keep our exercises up. Don't stop exercising. It's one of the things that will keep us going healthy. And you will find that the more you keep going, the better you feel, because those endorphins, they are released. Those are the happy hormones. And even though the estrogen is no longer there, we still have the endorphins that can keep us going and keep us feeling like women again, even when we don't feel that way at times. The memory loss is something that is very evident in many women, but it's short term. Now, I say that because many women think, well, oh Lord, am I going to have these things happening to me all through my years up 70, 80, 90 if I live to 90? No. It is more severe in the first 2, 3, maybe 4 years of menopause. When you first have stopped the estrogen production, your body is no longer producing the estrogen, and the receptor sites are actually searching for the estrogen that is not there. And when that happens, you find that the symptoms are more severe on your body. So there are things that you can do. Some people, once they have seen their physician and the doctor has done the blood test and looked at their hormonal levels, and the physician, that is an obstetrician, and most likely it's the obstetrician who will do that test, will determine that you are menopausal based on the results of your hormonal levels at that time. Now, if you bleed after menopause, and that's postmenopausal bleeding, that is an issue. If after 12 months you have a bleed, you need to see your physician immediately. There may be something going on, and we can never underestimate. We are not physicians. We are not supposed to judge for ourselves. But once you're seeing blood after your period has stopped, it is time to go to your physician and inform your doctor immediately that this is happening. And the physician will conduct his or her own investigations and determine what could be causing the problem. So basically speaking, I think I've given you a good idea of what the synopsis of what we did last. It's in a more compact form, but I think you have a better, at least a reminder of the things that I spoke about last time.
Thank you so much, Jenny. And what a synopsis. I think you've covered basically the very pertinent issues, the signs and symptoms, and what the benefit is of having the estrogen and what happens as it decreases and so on. So we thank you for again reminding
You're
us
most
with
welcome.
such relevant knowledge. So we have a number of questions. And the first question I want to ask, Jenny, is what are some of the things that are recommended? We recognize that diet and exercise play a significant role in helping us to cope. Are there any particular foods or food groups that you will recommend in terms of helping us to cope? And how, I know you mentioned exercise, but how regular should we look at exercising?
Well, 4 days a week is good for you because exercise has multiple roles in everybody's life, generally speaking. Exercise brings out the endorphins, which I love. Those are the happy hormones. And after a good workout, you do feel better. Secondly, it generates allows for the blood flow to the heart, the lungs, the kidneys, all the organs, the key organs in your body to function better because it encourages better blood supply to those areas. Also, at this time is when things like hypertension and diabetes, those unwanted, non communicable diseases, are beginning to surface. And many women at this time may have one or two, even have both of those conditions. And so, if you
Yeah.
have menopause at that time, which is one aspect to deal with, but there's something else you can do that can improve the quality of your life because now you're looking at the quality of your life, not quantity. The quality of your life is important now. And as a result, exercise will improve the muscle function, tissue function, and the function of your heart, lungs, and kidneys, and your general well being. It's not going to bring the estrogen back, but when you improve the other areas, you will find that generally speaking, you feel better. And I think that it even helps you to get over the symptoms of menopause even faster. Because for me, I exercise 5 days a week. I mean, I'm retired now. And even when I wasn't retired, I used to make time when I left work, whether it was 8 o'clock at night, 8 to 9, I was on the road with my husband. Sometimes if he didn't come, I would walk around the block. I did what I had to do to keep my exercises up. Now, let me say exercise does not prevent you from getting anything. What it does, it assists with the quality of your life. That's what it does. I mean, because you can be exercising like crazy, and then because of genetic reasons, you may find that someone, because of a strong genetic factor, may still develop hypertension, may still develop some other cardiac issue. But what you will find exercise does is, and this is for the woman, whether she's menopausal or not, the
Mhm.
if it's an NCD, she will find that the severity of the condition is reduced significantly. Instead of severely hypertensive, she may find, or he, if it's a male who is exercising daily, will find that you have moderate hypertension. It's better controlled because you're going to add to that how you eat. And I talked about how you eat. I know that you're asking about the things that we need to do at this time, but I think I want to add diet to exercise at this time. I can't get away from that. Now,
Yeah.
I don't believe that we need to withdraw all of the lovely things we love. I love cuckoo. I love the kitchen, so I'm always cooking something different. I love cuckoo and salt fish. I love all those nice Bajan delicacies. However, it is what you do, but not how you do it. Now, here's what I'm saying. If you have 4 meals per day, meaning you can start with your breakfast, which is your cereal and your milk, whatever the milk is, maybe with a banana. If you're not diabetic, you can have half a banana or half an orange. And if your cholesterol is not up, because cholesterol is one of the other things that many of us at this age have to deal with. And sometimes it has nothing to do with eating the wrong things. Genetic factors can also play a role there. Okay. Some of the thinnest people I know have cholesterol issues.
Yes,
Okay.
cholesterol.
So you eat, maybe you can't have eggs, or you can only have 2 eggs a week or 3 a week based on what your physician says. But you can have tuna or sardines and biscuits or 2 slices of toast, some sardines, a glass of juice, and maybe a little oats in the morning for breakfast. That's a decent breakfast to have. If you're working, have the breakfast before you leave in the mornings or walk with it. At 11 o'clock, you can have fruit, watermelon, or maybe if you love apples, the cheap apples that you can get from Emerald City and those supermarkets, you can get 10 in a bag for $5. Buy those. One of those a day will not hurt you. Okay? One apple around break time. That's around 11, say 10:30, 11, and a glass of water or a glass of unsweetened juice. Lunch now could be 12, 1 o'clock. So you're still following, you're eating so that your stomach doesn't get hungry and you're not craving heavy meals, but you eat to satisfy the hunger at that point in time, and it's enough to keep you. So you can have, I love yam, I love breadfruit, I love sweet potato, I love those foods that are not high on the glycemic index. Low glycemic index foods like yam, breadfruit, sweet potato, edibles, those are the best
Cassava.
foods that you can eat at this time. Boil them and have some steamed fish on the side. And occasionally, I'm not big on fried chicken, but if you want to have a piece of fried chicken, occasionally, that's not going to hurt you if you're not doing it every day. Fish and chicken, occasionally, that's not going to hurt you if you're not doing it every day. Fish
Again.
and chicken, don't go to breakfast, you have the fruit snack around 10:30, 11. Then lunch, 12:31, a sensible meal. And I always say that when you put your food on your plate, it should look like this: three compartments: starch, protein, vegetable, raw and cooked. The okras are cheap, so you can buy a bag of okras, slice them nicely. You don't even have to cook them if you're at work. You can just drop them in with your meal, heat them up, and eat them with whatever you have cooked. And a glass of water after that meal will take you right up to 4:30, maybe 5 o'clock. So you want to go out to exercise? Have a banana, have an orange, have something that can still give you some energy when you go to exercise. When you come back in now, the last thing you have at night, say 7:30 at night, you can have a slice of toast with some tuna, and lettuce on it, and you can have that comfortably with a cup of tea. And I love ginger tea. You can have there's a tea that I love. Ginger tea is my favorite tea at night. It's in a tree, not nutmeg. I can't remember the name of that. Anyhow,
Chamomile.
well, yes, chamomile works for a lot of women too at that time, because
It
a lot of
can.
women find that they don't sleep well at night. So chamomile is a good tea for you if you find that you can't sleep at night. But I will tell you this. I hope that you women are listening, and men too. If you exercise daily, when you get to nighttime, after you have had a full day's run of running around and doing what you have to do, sleep is going to come so sweet. It's going to be amazing. When you put your head down, and if you have a partner, you snuggle up on your partner. And what you choose to do with your partner is your business and God's. And you have a great time and you go to bed, you will find that you will sleep comfortably in his arms. So if you don't have somebody, well, do as I say, get some pillows and pack up your bed and sleep with pillows behind you and in front you and make yourself comfortable. Okay? Because look, not everybody is going to have a partner at this time. Yes, you may have had a partner before and things didn't work out and things ended and you're alone at night, but you're not alone. You are sleeping on your own. But alone is if nobody's with you. But remember, God is always with you. And as women, if you have a good friend, talk to her at night before you go to sleep if you feel lonely. I have some girlfriends and we are always on the phone. I have a husband. He doesn't mind me talking to my girlfriends. Those are some of the things that we need to do at this time. You want me to tell you what we need to do, Sister Mary? Those are the things we need to do as women. Get
So
together,
we are
talk
doing a
about our
little bit
issues.
of diversional therapy. We are
Yes,
not focusing so much on the challenge that we are facing, but we are doing things to take our mind off of the challenge. I thank you
you
so
are
much for
correct.
sharing in such detail what could be a meal plan for a day. And if we can put that into practice, it certainly will help us in terms of our nutrition. And once
Yes,
we're eating well and we're exercising, we tend to feel so much better, as you have indicated. The only one other thing I would want to add to that is our fluid intake during the day, to be sure that we have adequate amounts of water, particularly with the days so hot as they are now. And if we are experiencing hot flushes, as we stay well hydrated, we will feel less irritable and be more
let,
focused.
let me
And
add
that
to
is
that. Let me
important.
let me add to that. Um, in terms of hydration, that's an area that I usually deal with as well. I have a system that I work with, and I would recommend this to everybody who's listening. If you have a liter bottle at home, the bottles that you can catch, you can get coconut water in or some other drink that you had, fill it with water every morning. Take it to work with you. And every 2 hours or so, drink some water, drink a glass of water from it. That way, you will be sure to get the fluids that you need during the day. But if you depend on, I think I need to drink one now, you're not going to do it. But I find that by keeping a liter every morning, I have a liter of water in my kitchen, and one is upstairs in my bedroom. One is on the deck. So that when I go to sit out and enjoy my breakfast, there's water there. When I come upstairs and there's water, and I look at the bottle, I say, okay, it's time for me to take another two bottles, two glasses, and I keep a glass right beside. So you're right, Sister Mary. Rehydration is important because our bodies function differently at this time, and we find that as we get older, we get dehydrated faster. Second thing I discovered about hydration is, and this is for the older people, when I worked at the nursing home, I had two nursing homes I was managing, and to my amazement, now I said to my nurses, make sure that you keep water for all of my residents every morning. They had to take water out in a tray for all of them. And I found that they're not fussy about drinking. You know why? Because the taste buds go as we get older. And so the taste for water isn't there. Some of them can't even, they don't even know when there's too much sugar in it. You have put a teaspoon of sugar and they tell me, oh, this don't taste like it having any sugar. But it's just that their taste buds are going. So we have to encourage them as much as possible. But there's something I should have answered before you go to your next question, Sister Mary. There are some products on the shelf that women use, evening primrose, oil comes to mind immediately, for assisting them around this time when they are having menopausal issues. Now, I always say to women, if you're going to use an estrogen, whatever, whether it's a plant based or not, you should discuss it with your physician. Reason is, if you have your uterus intact still, even though you're menopausal, and you take an estrogen supplement, it doesn't matter if it's made in the lab or if it's from a tree, it's an estrogen supplement. What it's going to do is it's going to behave just like a normal estrogen would. It will go into the general estrogen receptor sites, and you start to feel better. You find that the depression may go, skin starts to get plump. You will find that the vaginal walls will start to become a little looser, and you get produce more secretions, and sexuality will be better. But it also has the potential for building the lining of the womb. And just as a normal estrogen would, that can also happen and can lead to a condition called endometrial hyperplasia. So, in order to avoid that, women should discuss with their physicians what product they're going to go on so that the doctor can determine whether what strength they should take and how long they should take it for. Because if it's taken for an extended period, that's when the lining of the womb can start to build up, and she may start to find spotting is an issue down the road. So discuss it with the physician, because what many of the products on the market do, and these are the ones manufactured in the labs like Premarin and those other products, they have progesterone alongside the estrogen, low dose, so that if she does take the estrogen, the progesterone behaves like the normal progesterone would in the woman. It stops the lining of the womb from building up, and she doesn't get that heavy endometrial buildup, and then is at risk of bleeding. So those are the things that you just need to discuss with your physician anytime you decide that you want to go on a product. Doesn't matter what the product is. Just wanted to mention that, Sister Mary.
All right, thank you so much, Jennifer. So we have looked at our diet, and it's a crucial part in our management, as well as the use of supplements. So one of the questions that came to us was whether or not it is good to use homeopathic remedies, and if apple cider vinegar is of any benefit in menopause.
Well, I wish I could say yes to that, but honestly, what I would say is that homeopathic remedies do seem to work. I have
Mhm.
heard about apple cider for different things as well. Heartburn, maybe who want to lose weight can use apple cider. But whatever you are going to use, my recommendation is research it, go on the internet. Google can give you the answers to a lot of things that you want. And research it. And when you have found the information that you have gotten, copy it and take it to your physician. I am a lot of what I have been trained in has been the science of medical information. That's my training. I do not promote. I do not promote either because it is not in my place to do so. I would suggest, however, and I can suggest that if you are having a problem and you have heard of something that can work, get on the internet, draw down the information, and take it to your physician and discuss it with your physician first. That is what I would suggest.
Okay, so thank you so much for that guidance. Jennifer, could you give us an what would I say, a guideline as to how long some person can expect to endure menopause and the many symptoms that they experience in terms of the hot flushes? Is it a year, 2 months? How long do we generally expect a person to be
Well,
menopausal?
that is the most critical question you have asked me for the evening. In fact, I think it's the most important question you have asked. Hot flushes and night sweats. Remember, I said that in the early phases, you will find when you have first become menopausal, the symptoms are can be very severe then. I mean, in the first 2 3 years, you're sitting in a conference room, the AC is blasting, and you're the only person who is hot. You go and you get in a car that is not air conditioned, and you can't wait for the wind to start blowing on you because you can even feel like you will pass out sometimes. It can be very severe for some women. I would say most women at menopause. Now, year one, year two, year three, year four, for some women, it's not an exact science because every human being, every woman is different. They are made up genetically different. And as a result, some women may find that the first 5 years it starts to peter out and it gets better. Some women it can even go a little longer, but they will find that they have less severe symptoms as the years go by. There's a reason
Mhm.
for that. The symptoms are less severe because the estrogen receptor sites that have been used to receiving the estrogen from the hormones which were produced in the ovaries, they start to realize it's like a computer in your body. And the computer realizes, wait a minute, this thing is not producing what it used to produce anymore. Why am I not getting this speed that I used to get? And it tells the body, you know what? You need to stop looking because it's not coming. And then the receptor sites will calm down and stop searching, and the woman's body will start to adjust to not having the estrogen like it used to. And one of the first areas I find that starts to adjust is the hot flushes. She has less severe hot flushes and night sweats as time goes by. And that could end 5 years, 6 years. A lot has to do with her genetic factors. And if mom is alive and you can chat with your mom, ask her when her hot flushes stop. Because it has been proven that there's a strong scientific tie that the biological aspect of her birth from her mother takes her right through the same kind of symptoms that her mother would have gone through.
Okay, so again, very relevant information for us, and I guess it demonstrates the importance of knowing your family history.
Yeah.
So, Jennifer, we have talked about diet, we have talked about the benefit of exercise, hydration, things that can happen when we take or we get into alternative medicine or things that can help us or we believe that can help us. But I want to talk a bit now about the scientific things that have been proven. So we've heard a lot about HRT, hormone replacement therapy. What role does it play in helping us to cope with menopause and how beneficial is it? And then, as an aside to that, can you tell us what are some of the risks associated with hormone replacement therapy?
Well, you have asked the right person that question because I was trained in that area as well. I think you know that too, Sister Mary. Um,
Yes, I do.
Now, yes, hormone replacement therapy has been proven to work in 99.9% of the cases of women who have menopausal symptoms. Now, it is broken up, they have got the dosages broken up into different strengths. You can get a zero point 0.6, a 1.2, a 0.2, 0.3, all depending on the severity of the symptoms the woman has. So her physicians, and these are drugs that can only be prescribed, cannot be bought
Yeah.
on the shelf. Also, you have the hormone, the primary vaginal cream, which is one of the creams that is used by many physicians, along with the products of the similar name. Those products, along with other products on the market, are all given based on the woman's severity of her condition. And as I said, I like to repeat this, cannot, should not be given without a prescription. Reason for that is the science has shown that hormone replacement therapy is very effective. However, they find that it should be given for short-term use as opposed to long-term use. In other words, a woman should not be on hormone replacement therapy for, let me say, for more than 5, 6 years. If she, however, has to have therapy past that period, the physician may want to give her and what we call 3 months on, 2 months off. So he gives the body a break from the hormone therapy and see how she is responding. Because the reason for that is that they have found that if the woman stays on hormone replacement therapy and she is from a family of high cancer risks, now, as I said, her risk is greater in two areas. If there's familial issues where maybe aunts and cousins and so on, and her mother may have come down with cancer, the physician is going to be
Mhm.
extremely careful and cautious in putting her
Yeah.
on a hormone replacement therapy. However, there are times when the symptoms are so severe for some women that the physician will make a decision on maybe giving her a low dose, the lowest dose possible, just enough to get her through the first maybe 4 months and see how she does, and then take her off. And then give her something else, a supplement during that period. And if she starts to make an adjustment, may even reduce the dosage lower. But
Okay.
long-term therapy is not usually what is recommended. They usually suggest short-term is the safest route for using hormone replacement therapy. Okay. Now,
Okay.
you as I said, there are different strengths, so the physician will determine which strength is suited for that woman based on her family history. The creams, those are very effective. Trust me, they work. If a woman is having atrophic vaginitis or drain of the vaginal tissues, and she starts, even without the tablets, and she starts to use that cream, and sometimes it's just the tip of a finger, enough on the tip of a finger, twice a week, she starts to regenerate, the tissues start to regenerate and start to almost come alive again, and they become moist, and the tissues become healthy. So all I'm saying is that estrogen really is very much the key thing that contributes to how we function as women. And that's the one place that you can see the benefits almost immediately. Within 2 days of using it, the women will find there's a difference. And we'll talk about the difference that I'm sure you're going to ask me about very soon.
So, two things I want to ask you before, since we are here, we will stay here because
Okay.
you speak about the creams. And one of the common things that persons experiences, as we spoke, the vaginal dryness and the painful sexual intercourse. Can you tell us how the hormone replacement therapy makes a difference in this area?
But let me start first by saying I remember I was at a meeting once with about 200 women. It was a meeting in one of the islands. And when I started to talk about the symptoms and what we can experience, one lady got up and said, I never had a symptom, never had one. I said, well, you are very fortunate there. Well, they were all women, so she didn't mind talking. She said, the only thing I have had is a little itching in my vagina. I said, well, that's what it is. You had a little atrophic vaginitis. But she didn't know that's what it was. And she didn't have a partner. She was very much alone, living alone, not being sexually active or anything. But she had a little itching, she called it. Atrophic vaginitis is a real pain in the bug for women at this time, especially if she has a partner. Because I'm going to be very practical here. Now, you've had a partner, let's say, for the last 15 years. Y'all have got children, they're grown, and now you reach a stage where, okay, we got some freedom now. We can go on a boat cruise and we can go out and have some fun and not get pregnant and all those beautiful things that you want to do, or, get the relationship, get the intimacy back to where it
I
used to
see.
be. Now you want things to go really, really nice. And he what you don't realize is that the atrophy that is taking place is going to cause burning and pain. Why burning and pain? Because of two reasons. The vagina starts to shorten because it's becoming atrophic. The secretions start to be reduced, so the moist secretions that will allow for smooth entrance by his penis not happening. So it's going to meet resistance from the musculature of the vagina. And that is painful because it's a sensitive area in a woman's body. So it interferes with her ability to function intimately with her partner. That's not good. Not good at all, because women who don't know what is happening to them at that time will actually turn away from their partners, turn their backs on them. Two, the men will start to feel as though you don't love them anymore. They don't realize that you are actually going through a natural process of aging. And so you have to, that's why I hope a lot of women are listening to this program. Talk to your partner when you find suddenly that he's about to enter your vagina, and it starts to burn. It's time to see your doctor. Get some help. Now, some women may not want to use the cream that will restore the vaginal vault to normal. So if they don't want to do that, they can try the normal jellies they can get from the pharmacy. Talk to the pharmacist quietly, and see if he has a jelly that can work. And I always say to women, they should involve their partners in this process. Don't do like some women go into the bathroom and put it in at night and then come out ready. No, tell your partner what is happening so that he becomes part of the process. Our women today are fortunate because they have women like us, Mary and myself, who are nurses, who can educate them on the subject and help them to have a better life, better quality of life at this time. I'll tell you that as a woman, I too had an issue. My husband, very loving and caring, never did me anything. And I found that I didn't want to have any more intimate relations. I just didn't. As a matter of fact, that's one of the symptoms too. Some women find they don't want to have sex.
Interesting
It
sex.
happens. Partner don't have to do anything for that to happen. It can happen because all of a sudden the drive from the hormones in the brain that allows you to feel sexual and sensuous is no longer there. However, where there's love and there's warmth and there's caring and
Communication.
there's communication, when you put all of those together, it can come back. So I say to women, please don't hide and do this thing. I'll tell you something, a story about an old lady who I met. She was 95 years old when I was doing my studies at the time. I had to do a project, and I had to speak to a few ladies to make a presentation on my project before I did my final exams. And I spoke with this 95-year-old lady, and I asked her, Gran, how did you cope with menopause in your time? 95. She said her husband's name was Easley. She said, this is how I'm telling you exactly how she spoke to me. She said, Sorry, girl, I tell Easley you take one bedroom, I take the next. I said, but Gran, how could you have done that? You would have chased your husband away. You shouldn't have done that. No, 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 no. You got it wrong. I was called away from that life. All the women saw it as a time to shut shop,
And
call away
yes.
from that life. And what happened as a result of her chasing away Easley went to and got two children from another woman outside of the marriage. I said, you see, Cran, if you were educated and you knew what to do, you might have saved your marriage. She said, you very wrong, because if he had stayed with me, he would still be living today. He killed himself. So as far as she was concerned, this sex thing was too much for her because she didn't understand. She said, and as a matter of fact, tell you what she said. She said he was going to rack her body to pieces, and that was not going to happen. No, she really meant that the force of having to have intimacy with him, sexual intimacy with him, was so much trauma for her vaginal walls that she saw it as destroying her. But we don't have to live like that anymore. We have avenues now that we can use that we can still enjoy healthy, intimate relations with our partners. I am saying to you that pardon?
I
What was
am
that you're
happy
saying?
that you've been so explicit and plain about it because this is a very taboo subject, and so often, even though we have come out of the woods a bit, I find that we are so reluctant to talk about these intimate details that will really help us to enjoy the gift that God have given to us in sexual relations. I want to hone in here on another aspect because we spoke about surgical menopause. And could you, for the benefit of our men and even our women, because the women who share this view that after you've had a hysterectomy, that your sex life has basically come to an end and the men are actually falling into a vault once you've had a hysterectomy. How do you address that for us this evening, Jennifer?
That is such a myth. You have no idea. You're right about what men think where that subject is concerned. Look, then a woman has a hysterectomy. and it's for different reasons. She could have had some fibroids that were problematic, or she may have had some suspicious cells on the cervix, and the doctor, her physician, decided, you know what, we're not going to take this any further. Let's take the uterus out and let's call this a day. The vagina is still there. I don't know why men think that the vagina is going to go someplace. That remains in place, intact. I am telling you, Sister Mary, and for those of you who are watching, I was at a meeting with about 60 men. I was giving the same talk. And when I was through, one man got up and he was in tears. He said, My Lord, if I knew that this is what my wife was going through, I would not have left her. He said, I left her
Wow.
and I picked up a younger woman, but now I realize she's going to go through what you just and what left my wife for. Men do not understand. And I blame women at times for hiding and not telling their partners that they're having a problem. No, if God has given you a mate that you can share your life with, you share children, you share the bed, you share food, you share so much with your partner. Why not tell your partner that there is a problem when he's about to enter your vagina? Nothing is wrong with that. He will understand. As a matter of fact, I think men love the idea of messing around when they have to touch their partner's vagina. They love it.
I
So I
always feel that at this time it's particularly when it comes to the difficulty in or the painful intercourse, that when it comes to inserting the primary or whichever lubricant you would use, that it's a good act of foreplay to
of
encourage
course,
the male to put it in so that
yes.
they get to know what is happening and be a part of the process instead of being left out or shut out.
As a matter of fact, there's a lady who just wrote in and said her skin would burn her when her husband touched her. It is,
Mhm.
listen, it is amazing what this lack of estrogen does to us as a woman. And unless we as women talk about it and let other women know that they're not alone and that they can
Amen.
get help, then too many women will continue to suffer, and too many women will continue to lose their partners because of it. We don't have to lose our men because of this. We don't have to give. I agree with you, sir. We do not have to give up on our relationships because of it. And as a matter of fact, I will share this with you, Sister Mary, and to you, the viewers who are watching. Do you know that the sex is, and I'm being a little explicit, sex is even better now than when you were younger? And you know why? For a number of reasons. There are no children knocking on the door to interrupt anything that's going on. You can get on a boat, but you can't get on a boat now that you used to. But we can do a staycation, you and him, and fool around forevermore. Have breakfast in bed, do whatever you want. Get up in the middle of the night if you feel like it, if you're not too tired. But I mean, life takes on a totally different perspective at this time when you have reached menopause. So I'm saying to women, don't lose your partners because of it. I'm saying to men, love us. Still love us because we're going to love you back. We know how to do it. You know, I mean, there's nobody who knows a woman body better than herself. Then tell your partner what you're going through. Painful intercourse is not nice. It is not nice. And that's why women turn off. But don't turn off and not tell your partner. When it gets to the point where you're not accepting his penis, then it's time to stop and say, honey, I'm having a problem. I'm seeing the physician because I think I'm having some atrophic vaginitis, which and explain to him what is happening. Go see your doctor, get some help because the sooner you get the help, you will find your intimate relationship will improve 100%. I don't
Jennifer,
know if I
one
can
of
be.
the things, and I thank you again for being so practical about it. One of the things you find is that at this stage in life, again, and it's because of the lack of knowledge or the lack of openness and communication in the relationship that things tend to fall apart. And whereas a man might have be always ready for intimacy, the woman needs to be prepared for that intimacy in order to have the vagina lubricate so that there is not that painful entrance, and also give her the opportunity to experience the joys or the pleasures of sex. But because we refuse to communicate, we aren't able to do this. I find in counseling, you find many persons, their relationships fall apart at this stage. How do we work to combat this?
I think that we need to, first of all, education is important. Our women need to be educated as well as our men. Uh, I must say that there are some groups of men who are not open to this level of discussion because unfortunately men seem to think that it's their fault that this is happening. But we as women have to let our men know it's not, you have to assure your mate it's not your fault. It is my body that's changing. I think when our men understand that it's not their fault, that she doesn't feel the urge, that she is going through a change in her body, and if he understands that, he'll be more understanding and he'll be able to handle her differently. I think that the idea of touching, a gentleman just wrote and asked about touching and softening in a very gentle, loving way. What I find is that when you get here at this stage of our lives, there's a song I always wondered what that song meant. And now at 66, nearly 67, I now know what the song meant. I used to hear, mind you, I'm a Christian, so I don't get into this secular world, but I'm saying there's a song I used to hear on the radio, and it would go, uh, I don't, I want to, all I want is a slow hand. And I couldn't understand what she meant by a slow hand. But what she means is she wants her partner to go slowly with her.
Delicate.
Our men, we have to educate our men on how to treat us, how to handle us. We're like eggs. We're like fresh eggs when we get to this stage of our lives. In other words, our shells can break very easily. Don't break our shells. Hold us. And we as women have to stop holding back. You know what? You know what gets into a lot of these relationships too? A lot of women hold grudges for things that happened 50 years ago or 15 years ago because no relationship is perfect. None. If you've got a partner who has been perfect from day one to the last 30 years, amen, hallelujah.
Amen.
My mother and father were like that, but they don't make too many like that today. However, whatever the issue is, we have to learn to forgive and move on because if we don't, we will find that we will lose partners constantly. We have to learn to love and show love. I'll tell you something that a lot of women, I'm going to put a lot of blame on women here and now, and I hope you women are listening. We are nurturers by nature. We breastfeed and we know how to nurture babies. We can nurture our men the same way. Love them. Look, if a woman knows how to love a man, believe me, there's nothing that he will not do for her. Men love it when we treat them like little lambs. Look, I will share this with you and all the women who are watching. And if you get annoyed with me, I don't care. I am retired now. And my husband, who is present with me 25 years, December coming, when I cook a meal, I put his on a plate, on a tray, and mine. And we sit and eat together like king and queen. And I treat him. The meal looks like if it was served at the hotel, the best hotel in the world. I mean, those are the things I do, and he does too. Some mornings, Saturday mornings, when he knows I've treated him so well, he said, Jen, or he said, hon, you want me to make breakfast for you today? I said, sure, honey. I put my feet up. read, pick up my book and read something until the breakfast comes. But we have to show each other love. Forget that he make a little mistake down the road 10 years ago and don't hold it against him. Once he's still showing you love and affection, show it back. Because you know what? I will tell you this. A lot of people who have separated from their partners, and this is going into a slightly different area, when they get older and they look back, they are so sorry for leaving those partners. And it can have a male or female side. It doesn't always have to do with intimacy. Sometimes it has to do with being able to forgive and move on and ask God for the strength to move on. I wouldn't say anymore. I think you have another question
Okay.
for me.
Yes, I do. So we've talked a lot about what the women experience in terms of vaginal dryness, atrophy, and so on. So there are some men at some stage in their life who have challenges with maintaining an erection, erectile dysfunction. There's a question as do men go through menopause as well, and how do their body respond at this time?
Well, I am not, I know enough that I can answer the question, but I prefer the urologist to deal with the men. But what I would say is that I am aware that many men, as they
Mhm.
age, they have the hormone, the key hormone within their bodies that's produced via the prostate gland, testosterone. That hormone tends to be reduced in the amount that is normally in their bodies, and that's what gives them a lot of their drive. Now, fortunately for men, as opposed to women, a man can have some issues in relation to dysfunction, but his issues may not start until he's about 70. Some men, not all, some men
Mhm.
can have intimate relations with their wives in their 80s. Men are fortunate. We as women don't have those challenges at that time. Our challenges start earlier. However, a lot of men also do start to find that the erectile dysfunction issues can start as early as in their 50s. Now, men don't get menopause, they get some psychological changes start to take place with men at this time. Once a
Mhm.
man starts to find that he used to be able to have an erection first thing in the morning, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, this thing is taking too long to get rid. I want to go. Yes, it's happening, but I used to be able to have intimate relations with my partner 5 days a week. No, I'm down to one day a week, maybe twice a month, and I don't feel the urge. And when I do, the erection is not staying up. It can impact on a man's psychology. This is where men's ability to cope is
Mhm.
different to women. Um, and a lot of the issues sometimes isn't always as a result of a biological factor. Sometimes it's smoking, it's alcoholic drinking
Thank
that can
you.
also interfere with the function of the prostate gland, and how it is able
Diabetes
to
and high blood
produce the
pressure.
testosterone. Yes, yes, they can be on medication. Sometimes the diabetic medication can cause erectile dysfunction. Hypertensive medication can cause it. So there are a number of factors, medical factors, that can cause some of our men to do have this problem. However, once the problem is identified, he should go see his physician, because there are some medications that are pretty harsh. They do the job, some for those NCDs, but that is the issue that some men have to face. Now, if the physician finds that this is a problem, he can change the meds to something else that will still get the efficacy in terms of getting the blood pressure down, but he may have less of an issue with erectile dysfunction. However, it is it is like a chance that has to be taken, because sometimes the issue sometimes can be so severe that
Mhm.
men may even go on to have bigger problems in the prostate gland. The prostate gland is the big issue for men, because prostate gland, when that starts to to become swollen or enlarged as a result of aging, and he gets prostatic hyperplasia, and it's not necessarily because of cancer, then the prostate gland is also impaired in its function and its ability to release the testosterone that it's used to. So men may not get hot flushes, but they will get anxiety. They may not be able to sleep well because all of a sudden, and what unfortunately a lot of men do is they start thinking that maybe if they go with another woman, if they try somebody else, maybe this thing might work differently. I might get an erection if I try a younger thing. And a lot of the men, unfortunately, older men, I don't know how, if the younger men are doing that now. I don't think that because our younger women are a little smarter. They know how to hold on to the men a little longer. But a lot of men used to look and find a younger girl, then they start driving around with a cap, a red cap on the head, and a red sports car, or buy a motorbike. They do things to boost their ego at that time in a way to dull the ache of what is happening in relation to their sexuality. So I usually suggest if a man starts to have find that he's having some issues in relation to erection or erectile dysfunction, he should see his physician, have it examined, whether it's a blood test to see what the levels of his testosterone might be. If he's having some issues in the prostate gland, have them addressed. If it is that it's medication and the physician has to switch meds for him. But men are affected psychologically quicker and easier when they have that problem as opposed to us women. We have other issues, a bundle of other issues, but it's the psychological aspect of it that really impacts on our men when they start to have their issues.
Jennifer, I am so happy that you are sharing this wealth of information with us and with our viewers and being so practical about it, because sometimes these are the things that we need, not sometimes, all the time. These are the things that we need to know, but we are so afraid or ashamed for whatever reason to discuss. And I really want to stress this evening that it's not that we're focusing so much on sex, but it is such the whole aspect of intimacy doesn't only involve the sexual intercourse. This is just one act, but the whole
Mhm.
level of intimacy, real, true intimacy in a relationship is impacted so much by this issue of menopause. So, one of the areas that we find women struggle with is the fact that they have weakness of the bladder in at this stage of life, and they tend to have what we will call incontinence. They might cough or they might sneeze, and bits of urine come down, and they're embarrassed about it. Is there anything or any suggestions you can make that will make a difference for them at this time, coupled with the whole mental aspect of the impact of menopause, and then this physical thing that is actually happening where you're wetting your underwear from time to time?
But let me say that that is an issue that doesn't come very early on. It doesn't happen in the early stages. Um,
Mhm,
a woman could be 70 and not have. I find that the weakening of the bladder is a gradual process, and it takes quite a while before that starts to show its face. Some women may not even start to experience that until they're maybe well into their 80s,
mhm,
because at this stage it is more, I would say, urgency, but there's no vetting at this stage. So the urgency comes, and there is a need to, hey, I need to get to the bathroom.
mhm,
Now, that happens over a period of time. That could happen as many as 10, maybe 15, up to 70 something, going into 80s. But once she hits her 80s, many of the older ladies will tell me, yes, I sometimes have to walk with a little tissue and rest it, because they don't know about liners and so on. So many of the old
mhm,
patients that I would work with, they would walk with a little extra tissue in their
mhm,
underwears to make sure that if they were going and it came around that time, they have something to at least absorb any fall, any tissue, any urine that may come. But my experience, in working in my own self and working with all the ladies, as I said, I found that it's the much older women who I find that seems to affect more in a more severe way, I should say. But at this stage, in our 60s going to 70s, I find that our issue more is one of urgency, where you feel the need to go. There's an urgent need to go, but you can get there, but it's okay. Yeah, I need to go. I must go. I must go. So I usually suggest that if a woman is finding that she is having that issue and it starts to become severe, first of all, she should discuss it with her doctor. One, two, on a secondary level, and there's not an awful lot that can be done for bladder, the bladder becoming, so extended, and then the incontinence that will come. What I usually suggest is that she should buy liners, and if she has daughters, get one of them to buy her a few liners, and she can put them in her undies. And if she's going to church or she's going to a wedding or something, tell her just put one in the underpants, and that, so that if she has to run to the bathroom, it would at least absorb any wetting that may occur before she gets there. Secondly, if she is going out, try not to drink too much liquids when she gets there, because the liquid is going to increase her need to go to the bathroom if she's going someplace where she's supposed to sit quietly for the next hour. So drink all she can before she gets, so that she can pass out as much of that before she goes, and have the water ready so that within the hour that the function is over, she can drink, rehydrate herself. So walk with water, but drink it after the function is over. Make sure she has a liner that can absorb any little spots that may come if she has to go urgently to the bathroom. But that's usually my recommendation.
Okay, so Jennifer, another question, and I know it's again another taboo subject. What's your take on douching? At this stage, you find that so many women want to use douches. Sometimes they want to use perfumed soaps and thinking about taking care of down there, as they refer to it. Um, what's your take on it? Because there are several preparations on the market that are highly perfumed and persons are buying them. What's your recommendation?
Well, my training, first of all, tells me that we are not supposed to be doing douching.
Say that.
Secondly, the vagina cleans itself. The only reason your vagina is going to have an odor is if there is an infection of some sort. Also, under normal circumstances, a woman should be able to have a shower. She can introduce her finger into her vagina and it should come out clean. There should be no scents, none whatsoever. If she started to have any odors there, it could be trichomonas. It can be one of those, either staphylococcus, something that has gone in and caused that to happen. Now, there's also some women who may not go, when they go to the bathroom, they're in a hurry and they do not clean themselves well enough. So the E. coli can also get into the vagina as well and set up infection. So we need to pay attention when we go to the bathroom. And women, as women, we know we are not supposed to wipe from the rectal area up. We're supposed to wipe back, front to
Right.
back. And if we go front to back, we're going to reduce the risk of any residual E. coli that might be in the rectal area, because sometimes the residual can still have some E. coli in it, and that can get into the vaginal vault and can cause some itching, and can even set up some minor infections, not major. So as long as the woman is cleaning herself, showering, and there's no harm in testing the odor, but orders are things that you don't have to test. Any woman who has an order, the minute she takes off her underwear, she's going to know. And orders are a signal that there's something going on, whether it's a bladder infection or an infection in the vaginal area, but there is always a signal if there's an odor. So if a woman has an odor, she should see her doctor. But
Right.
women in general who are not, and sometimes it is not always that the woman is sleeping around. You don't always have to be sleeping around with anybody for that to happen, because the trichomonas and those other staphylococcus and so on that live all around in the soaps and different things that we use, if she uses it and she doesn't eliminate properly and wet and dry herself properly, she can't find the heat. Sometimes the type of underwear that we wear can also encourage bacteria. So a lot of things go with how we care our bodies. Our bodies are sensitive. God made us really special as women. Men are special too, I must say, but He made us special in that we have to care what is inside and we can't see. Men can care what is outside that they can see, which is a little different. Even though infection can be passed from one to the next if they are not faithful, but we don't have to douche if we are doing the right thing.
Thing. And then the other question I want to answer is in relation to yeast infections. Along with this atrophic vaginitis and the dryness of the vagina, is it common to have yeast infections more often at this time?
I wouldn't say that. As a matter of fact, I found that yeast infections disappeared once I
Mm-hmm.
got into menopause. The yeast infections were more prevalent in the younger years, more
Mm-hmm.
so when you're on hormonal pills. Because what those hormonal pills do is they change the pH balance within the vagina, and as a result, it leaves the vaginal vault more open to multiplication of the yeast, like trichomonas. So what I found that the minute I came, as a matter of fact, once I came off of the hormones and everything, because I had my tubes tied very early after my third child was born. Prior to that, in those days they had high dose oral contraceptives like Nordet and those kind of things. That when you take those, oh Lord, every month you had a yeast infection, and your poor husband didn't do anything, neither did you. But it is the way how the body was responding to the hormones and the pH balance changing within the vaginal wall that then left your vaginal vaults exposed to multiplication of the normal flora. And it's the normal flora that lives there. But once that flora is changed in its balance, then it exposes them for the imbalance of the yeast that is there to then multiply and cause a problem. So I have found that as we age, believe you me, at this stage of my life, and this is not saying that this is what I do, but when you take off an underwear, you can put it on the next morning without and shut your eyes and put it on, not even a scent on it. Doesn't have anything. Your body is as clean as a whistle at this time. So again, that's part of the beautiful part of being 60 plus and menopausal.
So, okay. One other question, this would probably be our final question. Is it
Already?
the norm? Yes,
We've
believe
gone
it or
through
not,
already?
we're about to, yes, it's 24 minutes past 9. Is it
Okay.
normal to experience anxiety or any mental health challenges during the menopausal years? So I
Yeah.
know as a child growing up, we often say that people are going through the change of life, and as they
Hmm.
change, you expect them to have mental health issues. We used to use the phrase, she's going through the changes, so she's gone
Change of
mad.
life.
This change of life. How prevalent is that now, and what are some of the steps we can take to handle the mental health issues during these menopausal years, coupled
Well,
with, and I know this is a bit complex, coupled with all we are facing right now, the mental
today,
health issues has been so prominent in this global pandemic. how do we navigate these previously uncharted waters?
My dear, I knew that this question was coming. This is a very challenging time for women who are going through. I know one or two ladies who I have been trying to help, um, who are so depressed just from the doctors have done every conceivable test. Their bodies are not even responding to some of the psychotropic drugs that are available. They're depressed to the point where they don't want to get up. They can't sleep well at night. They're irritable. And it is, in my view, I think it's a phase as well. It's a phase that requires support. And the support has to come from, if you don't have a partner, I always say, and you have a good friend, a girlfriend, talk to your girlfriend, then you're not feeling 100%. I suggest to women, and some women actually have to go on psychotropic drugs at this time to keep, because you see, when I talked about the brain being impacted by menopause, the estrogen receptor sites that are no longer controlling norepinephrine and the serotonin, the hormones that help to keep balance within our brain, then you find that there is an imbalance going on in the brain cells. Sometimes genetic factors can also play a role because a lot of the times, women who have severe depression at that time, if you check some parental, some person in their family had a similar issue.
Yeah.
And so the issue is now compounded by what is happening now. I said to someone very recently, a girlfriend of mine I was chatting with, about the pandemic and how we are now forced to live antisocial lives, and people who are depressed are going to be even more depressed. And it's
Yeah.
like we have to literally try to put ourselves in a positive frame of mind. What can we do in the absence of not being able to visit our friends and go to church as we would normally and do all the things we normally would like to do? What can we do? If you're still working, then thank God you have a job that can occupy you for 8 hours a day. If you're not working and you're like me, then you have to find things at home to do. So if you're retired and you're menopausal, please listen to me good. If there are few things that you can do that can help you. If you find you start to get down and you're not feeling like getting up in the mornings, you literally have to talk to your partner. After you see the doctor, talk to your partner about what's happening. And if your partner is home, both of you start exercising together. If your partner is home and you have 6 barrels that you can put some soil in at the side of your house and start to plant some okras and whatever you can plant. Wake up in the mornings and look forward to life. No longer are you out there dealing with traffic, but because of being retired now and you've got these menopausal issues, find something that is a life. And a life form, the best life form you can get is plants, whether it's ornamental or it's vegetation, but do something like that. And you will find that just getting up and forcing yourself to do things like that will help. Exercise with your partner, or if you have a sister or a brother who you know close enough, you both can put your mask on and try and social distance and do your exercise daily. But the idea of planting works. You get up and you see you plant 6 okras yesterday and you notice that they have 4 leaves. You planted cucumbers and all of a sudden you're seeing flowers. Those are the things that will then motivate you. You know what? This is worth it. Do positive things that as positive as you can within your home. If you like cooking, cook every 3 days and start prepare cook and eat as though you're in a hotel. Lay out your table, and if you're retired, you have time to do those things. Napkin and make sure your meals look well. And if there's a partner you can share it with, then do that. but do things that will occupy your mind and shift your attention from all these things that are happening on the outside. I say that that works.
Thank you so much, Jenny. And I do share that view. The two other things I would add is to enjoy the beauty of the beach. We have many beaches here. Get on the beach, walk, let your footprints be the first in the sand on mornings, watch the waves. You see so many beautiful rainbows at times hanging over the water, watch the birds fly, fall in love with nature. I had a patient who recently said to me she was hospitalized for quite a while, for about 4 months. And the
Wow.
first night she came home, the next morning she saw a bird, and if you see the joy that seeing that bird brought to that lady, it almost brought tears to my eyes, because we are
Thank you.
outside sometimes and we don't take the time to admire the beauty of God's creation that He has made available to us. And just hear her saying, "Look, a bird, look, a bird. I haven't seen a bird for 4 months." She was so joyful. So,
But
Jennifer,
I would add before you end that every morning I have breakfast on my deck, and there's these mango trees, there's banana trees, and I enjoy looking in the sky and watching the clouds. And just like you said, the birds flying through the trees. Sometimes Ed is inside on the guitar, he's playing the guitar, and I'm sitting there enjoying nature. So I support that 100%.
so I want to thank you, Jennifer, for being our special guest this evening on Women of Excellence and Empowerment Ministries International.
Most
You
welcome.
have shared with us from your heart. You have shared some very practical tips for us. We have had guidance in terms of food and nutrition. We have looked at communication and relationship issues. We have looked at the whole matter of intimacy. We have looked at mental health. We have been empowered tonight to move on. I pray this evening that the blessings of the Lord that maketh rich and addeth no sorrow will truly be on you. And as the writer in John Epistle says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers."
I
And
like
I'm
to
sure
say
that
thank
that will
you.
be the
I like to say thank you to the members of my church. I've seen some of them, Michelle and her husband, just said hello, and to all the other persons who have been saying thank you across the screen. It has been a pleasure.
thank you. To you, our global audience, we thank you for joining in again tonight. I am sure that you have found at least one nugget, and I'm sure there are more that you can walk away with. Don't keep the information to yourself. Be sure to share it with your friends, your family, with other women, with your male counterparts. Let them know that there is life before, during, and after menopause. I'm Mary Thompson, and I am happy to have been your moderator this evening. I now yield control to Michelle, who will close us out.
Wow, wow, what a session. What an informative, detailed, explicit, real talk session we had this evening. I mean, even we had comments from the men, even
Yeah.
in the chats, they were commenting, and that was so good. Miss Bab, you corrected us. You scolded us. You directed us. You informed us. We need to get it right with this information. I know that we have been made the more wiser.
Yes.
Yes, we have been I have been made the more wiser because of this download that you have given this evening. And I know persons in the chat, I am trying to keep up many of them. And remember, a male said this is a holistic teaching. We need sessions like this. You imagine a man said that? Oh my
Wow.
goodness. So
Wow.
you can understand how what the information that was given, how it impacted him. Miss Jennifer Babb, we thank you
Yes,
so very much. We thank you and
you're
all
most
those that
welcome.
are viewed. on our Facebook page, on our YouTube session. We thank you. We thank you so very much. There's so much notes I have written here that I had to go and find more paper to write on. But one of the key things that I've recognized that you said, education is important and communication is the key. Education is important. When you're
Yes.
armed with knowledge, you respond in wisdom, but it's always wise to communicate, to share. This is not a death sentence, women and men. No, this is a natural process of life that the Lord has designed us for. And it means that there's so many other things that can be done even as we go through menopause. Oh boy, I am so grateful and thankful for your sharing tonight. I thank you also, moderator Mary Thompson, for being our moderator tonight. I was even wondering if there should be a part three, but I won't be so. Maybe we can have a session with the men. Maybe we can have
Many
a
would love
session with the
that.
Maybe we should
men.
have something that looks at the whole issue of erectile dysfunction and what men experience at this time and
Need
see
brave
how
men
they,
to come share.
yeah.
Well, we'll have
Yes,
to give them
yes.
a break. We'll have to give them a break for the time being. Just let this information soak in and let them try some things, and then when we get back, and then they can respond and tell us how things are going.
Yes. Well, we will work on it. We will see how that goes because we know that
Okay.
indeed information is necessary and education is important. Not, and let me repeat that, knowledge is important. So again, thank you, Sheldine, our technical support,
You're
and
most
all those
welcome.
that were with us tonight. We want to thank you, late. Our minister president, our president, Minister Harris, was having some technical difficulties, but I know she is definitely listening in the background, and we even thank her for being here, not physically, but she's still with us. I want to say, if there are any other questions or any other, queries you want to ask concerning this, you can connect with us on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and certainly I know Miss Bab will be there on point, ready to deliver and even continue to inform you. So blessings on
Yes.
you. Thank you again for
Thank you.
coming in. And before we leave, I want to share some information, some announcement with you coming from Women of Excellence and Empowerment Ministries. I want to inform for next Monday on this same Facebook page on our YouTube channel will be our committed to staying connected war room prayer strategy. That's next Monday, the 27th. Next Monday, the 27th at 8 p.m. Committed to staying connected war room prayer strategy. And our topic is wounded in warfare, but destined to win. Yes, women and men, wounded in warfare, but destined to win. Okay, that's next Monday. And our speaker for that session will be Minister Cheryl Fitzpatrick from Canada. Her husband was in the chat and even sharing tonight. God bless you, sir. But his wife will be ministering next Monday in our War Room Praise Strategy session. So see you next Monday right here at 8 p.m. And also, it is amazing coming off the heels of this discussion that we are going into self-care and self-compassion, encouraging you to gear up for 31 days in October. 31 days in October. Self care and self compassion. Even women who are going through menopause, let me say to you, self care is not selfish. Self
Oh, yes.
care is not selfish. I remember Jennifer talked about diversional therapy, talking to friends, having fun. She talked about them. I remember Mary Thompson talking about walking on the beach, gardening. All of this is necessary. It is diversional therapy, but it's also self-care, loving yourself and enjoying what you are doing. So we're asking you to take a break. Did you see I take a break? Take a break. Reflect, refresh, reset, and restart. You
So,
got that? Take a break, reflect, refresh, reset, and restart. And there's so much more. We're going to be posting it on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel. We want you to get involved. And this is some snippets of the activities. And we're going to be sharing this so that you can share it with others. You're going to have, during this month, you're going to have some workout sessions. Oh, yeah, some workout sessions. You're going to have activities, games night. You're going to be having even a brunch with a dietitian presentation, with a dietitian and her presentation. Now, I know that the protocols say we're not supposed to meet, but we are doing a virtual brunch. Oh, yes. So you're going to hear a little more about that. You know, listen, COVID will only hinder us to a certain extent, but we are going to take care of ourselves even during COVID. And then there will be a table talk, mental health discussion. And all of this is happening when? In the month of October. 31 days. 31 days of self-care, self-compassion. So we want you to be a part of it. We want you to be a part of it. We will be sending out some information. So stay tuned to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel as you take a break, reflect, refresh, and restart. All right, coming up in October. Love yourself. Even us women that are going through menopause, we're going to love ourselves because this is just how God has designed our bodies to function. All right. So I declare blessings on you. All of you still viewing blessings on you. I declare God's blessings upon you. Thank you, Tracy Blackman. Indeed, yes, Tracy, it was a great session, and I can't believe the time has come to end already. I was yes, I was waiting for more, but we will see what will happen. Maybe later down, part 3, dot, dot, dot. But we will see. So God bless you. I declare
God
the
bless you
blessings of
too.
God upon you. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up the light on his countenance upon you and give you peace. Nothing missing, nothing lacking, nothing broken. May you go and prosper in the things that God has designed for us men and women to prosper in. God bless you. Have a wonderful week and a good night. Blessings on you.
Amen.
Blessings
Thank you.
on you.
Amen.
Bye,
Blessings on you.
everybody.
Bye.
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 Blessings on everybody.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.